It is easy to forget with all the Netflix hatred going on that Devil May Cry is actually a kick-ass series that deserves more praise than what the powers that be are willing to give. With no DMC 6 on the horizon, only talk of a DMC 1 remake in the works. And, of course, giving creative control of the anime to the entertainment industry's equivalent of the Sarlacc pit, where you're destined to be devoured and digested over a millennium until there's nothing left. It's been a rough go, hasn't it?
You got some pretty heavy stuff going on in there. I think you need to talk to a professional.
But there was another Devil May Cry anime, many years ago. And while it has its own flaws, I'm here to argue that it's an underrated gem that should be worth reconsidering, especially when compared to the alternative.
This is the worst ventriloquist act I've ever seen. I can't even tell which of you is the hand and which is the asshole.
The Devil May Cry Madhouse anime, produced and released back in 2007. Ugh, those were better days. The rent was cheap, and social media was in its infancy, so we still had some notion of common decency. This anime, though, it'd be a lie to say I was impressed when I first watched it. That's not to say that I didn't like it. I did, but there was no denying how tame and downright cheap it felt at times. I did say it had flaws, and sadly, there's a comprehensive list to consider. The voice acting was hardly stellar, the action is bland, and the plot, what little they invested in, is rather cut and dry. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. A quick synopsis first. The anime canonically takes place between the events of DMC 1 and 2. Whereas the games revolve around a central story, the Madhouse anime is more episodic, with Dante's day-to-day life being explored, including his less world-threatening jobs, crippling debt, usually brought on by extensive property damage while working, and often rejecting payment on moral grounds. Part of the anime's charm is how it lets us slow down a bit and explore Dante as an individual, rather than as the inconquerable devil hunter, but a man trying to get through life, doing the right thing, regardless of whether or not karma pulls through for him. Anyone who tries to do right and stand by it, you'll understand just how rare that really is. It's definitely something we can all relate to, for better or worse. We get to see what Dante's like when there isn't a crisis looming overhead, how he interacts with the people in his life, his hobbies, his habits, which are disturbingly scant. For a man with so much character, Dante doesn't have much going on during this phase in his life. Trish, his partner from the end of DMC 1, has broken off to work on her own for a while. An exact explanation is never given in the show, but when you look at some of Dante's worst habits, his uncleanliness, his undisciplined lifestyle, you can see why someone might consider getting away for a time, though he makes it clear she's welcomed back at the shop whenever she chooses. We also get a feel for what their dynamic is like, and it is appropriately a big sister pestering her younger sibling type of relationship. Trish is definitely the well-meaning nagging type. Then there's Lady, the real Lady, the likable one. She's kept in touch with Dante over the years, and they've worked together quite a bit. We learn early on that a hefty chunk of his debt is to her. No doubt running broke on the regular, Dante turns to Lady for support loans to keep afloat, a fact she never lets him forget. You want to know how stubborn the man is with his finances? He's even a tab at the local pizza joint, yet another debt he struggles to keep on top of.
Pizza again?
Hey now, don't judge him. It's everything a growing boy needs. By the way, fun fact, the pizzas in the anime might look awfully small to you. Apparently that's how they're made in Japan. Look at that, that's considered a large. Where I come from, we call it an appetizer. Aren't cultural differences fun?
Holy mother of Satan. Dibs.
Just like Trish, these two bicker incessantly. There is certainly some heartwarming romanticism between them.
This bastard's a strawberry sundae freak. He eats pizza every day, and he never pays back the money he borrows from me or anybody else.
Oh yeah, she definitely wants some. You can't convince me otherwise. Despite the struggle, the two work well together and back each other up when it's time to get serious. Watching Dante and Lady interact often was one of the show's highlights. The games don't leave much room for the women, and that is a travesty. Though in episode 4, the anime focuses mainly on Lady as she's tracking down her latest target, who turns out to be Trish. At first, I thought this was going to be one of those awkward, I had no idea who you really were plots. But it turns out Trish had deliberately egged on Lady to fight her. Not out of malice. She just wanted to have a proper fight with someone who could push her limits. Because,
Though a fight every now and then does make life a little more interesting, don't you think?
yeah, that's the literal plot of episode 4. It's insane. I love it. For these people in particular, who earn a living hunting down literal hellspawn, it's important to keep on top of your skills. And it was an opportunity to give Lady and Trish their time to shine. Again, something the games have never really done. Capcom? It's two gorgeous babes kicking ass. That's a money printer waiting to be exploited, and you know it. I know they've appeared in some fighting games, just saying. We could do better.
I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass.
It is interesting to note that while Dante and Lady work a few jobs together throughout the 12-episode season, the same can't be said for Trish. Despite being Dante's partner, or ex-partner at the moment, she only appears in episode 4. Then her relevance is thin until we're near the finale. As much as I liked seeing Lady, it would have been great to see more of Trish too. Though these two together are downright evil. Poor Dante would never catch a break if they teamed up against him.
Don't suppose you did a little shopping recently?
Of course I did. And I sent him the bill.
You did? What a coincidence.
What do you mean by that?
I got a dress.
Good for you.
Huh, maybe that's why we don't see much of them together. It's the only respite our boy gets. Let this be a solid example of having fun with your character, as compared to Shankar's Abomination, which goes out of its way to belittle and humiliate Dante. Madhouse gives him a hard time too, but not at the expense of his dignity. You can't poke fun at a character, the product, without being sadistic, something the staff at Netflix cannot comprehend. I'd also be remiss not to mention Morrison, Dante's agent. This guy is about as close to normal as you get in the show. Pure human. No tragic backstory that we're aware of. Just a man bringing our protagonist some work, which may or may not go according to plan. He certainly knows how to talk to Dante, when to pester him about his immaturity, and when to sit back and let him work. It's hardly the most pronounced friendship you're ever gonna find, but the two get along well enough, even if Dante can be a pain in the ass to deal with.
Oh, right, that was sarcasm.
While most of the episodes are self-contained stories, there is a larger plot brewing in the background. This is where a new character gets introduced, Patty Lowell, an orphan girl who's being hunted by devils, and it would turn out her family legacy involves sorcery and the occult. Her ancestor once imprisoned a powerful devil named Abigail, securing her binds through several objects that we encounter throughout the season, with these items secretly being gathered by a low-level demon named Sid. The season concludes with him awakening Abigail's power and claiming it for himself, resulting in a final clash with our crimson-clad protagonist.
Child's play like this is all you got? You continually disappoint me, Sid.
You don't need a research jack-all to realize the budget for this project was minuscule. Like I said, the action was mostly bland. There were some fancy moves, don't get me wrong. Lady's skills are as impressive as ever. Much of Dante's fights, though, were cakewalks for a man of his caliber, while I did appreciate him being presented as the badass he rightfully is. It was equally frustrating just how little excitement there was during the action. Like the Netflix version, we don't see any devil arms.
Oh, bullshit, dude!
That is two Devil May Cry anime that have skipped over one of the coolest mechanics from the games. There is nothing more demeaning, badass, and stylish as hell than turning the enemy bosses into living weapons that, canonically, are still sentient to kill more of your enemies with. And twice people have botched it. I have never felt such unyielding disappointment in mankind since I found out what Scientology is. Hell, even his final battle was mediocre, with only a mere hint of Dante using his devil form to overpower Sid. It's not very inspiring. By some ungodly perversion of nature, the Netflix show had better action than this. And if you see my coverage of that shit show, that ain't saying much. Personally, I find it phenomenal that not once but twice, people have failed to adapt Devil May Cry's insane combat style. You know, we used to have standards.
Ah, the good old days.
I also mentioned the voice acting, which...
Don't you ever come back here again! If you ever do, I'll kill you for sure!
Yeah, there are some ugly moments. Granted, the issues usually involve supporting characters. The main cast carries the show pretty well. Morrison, Lady, Patty, and of course, Dante. They got Ruben Langdon to reprise the character, and thank God they did. The man lives and breathes Dante without even trying. Every line of dialogue, he portrays that cool and indifferent attitude we all know and love. as though nothing going on has the slightest impact on him. It's not too far from the truth. I have nothing against Johnny Young Bosch as a voice actor. He does great work. He just can't capture Dante's whimsical persona nearly as well. The writing doesn't do the man any favors either, best believe that. These are qualities nobody pulls off better than Ruben. They're sorely missed in the Netflix version. The only other negative thing I might mention is how generic the main plot is. An enemy gathering pieces to resurrect a demon god. Basically, collect the MacGuffins and proceed to the final act. Devil May Cry 2 followed this format pretty tightly. No doubt we could find 100 different shows within anime with the same premise. I know the devil's in the details. Pun intended. It's just worth mentioning so people understand what they're walking into here. Fortunately, the anime has a sweet as hell soundtrack to make it up to you. Yep, I'm done with the complaints. Time for the good shit. That is what the title promised, after all. Unlike the Netflix version, which pulled random songs from the early 2000s and passed it off as a soundtrack, the Madhouse version provides its own custom OST. It's not quite as hardcore as DMC typically goes, but it does capture the mood and atmosphere of the show, with more laid-back tracks that match the easygoing setting. Future in My Hands, the song played at the beginning of this video, remains my personal favorite, and there's a whole episode dedicated to the song and the person who wrote it. Bonus points. I also really like Life Is On You. It just carries itself so smoothly, gently. Whenever I need to force myself to calm down and relax a bit, I'll typically throw on a song or two from the Madhouse OST. It rarely fails. Perhaps it also does Dante some good whenever a job goes wrong or he doesn't get paid. Which...
What? Our pay? Well, naturally, I'll just deduct it from what you owe me.
What? It's a goddamn... Shit, that woman.
You're the most unlucky guy I've ever met, you know that?
Shut up.
Yeah, our pro tag doesn't have the best of luck in the show. I think around half of the episodes, Dante either gets screwed out of payment or rejects it, both of which only adds to his troubles. Though to be fair, Dante bears some responsibility for his predicaments. Look at episode 2. When a mysterious biker starts killing people in the countryside, Lady contacts Dante to track down the suspected demon, during a race against the brother of one of the victims, Vincent, all in hopes to draw the demon out. Dante opts to, no nonsense folks, tear down an entire bridge. Did you know how expensive these things are? And that's provided billions in funding don't magically disappear thanks to accounting errors.
Our tax dollars hard at work. Well, not mine, obviously, but...
What's that?
Needless to say, Dante's pay was reduced to cover the damage, and the rest was deducted from what he owed Lady, so the man didn't earn a dime for this job. I would chastise Lady for being so cruel, but given that he's already heavily in debt, and Dante did blow things out of proportion with the whole bridge thing, our boy kinda brought this on himself. Though knowing Dante, he would have taken the job anyways. That's just how he is. I discussed some of this in the video on Dante's overall character. It'll be linked below as always. But we do learn in other material that the various devil arms Dante's acquired across the games are given up as collateral due to all the property damage he tends to cause. It does explain why we never see any devil arms in the show, but it's no less disappointing. And I can't say I'm surprised. Dante's the type of bad omen insurance companies tremble in fear over. And good. Screw those people. Still, Dante's rough antics tend to get him in trouble often. Maybe it's due to an unstable life. Maybe it's his devil nature desperate to lash out at something. Think of it like the Superman World of Cardboard speech. Dante's powerful beyond what most people can imagine. Most devils too for that matter. Is it so surprising that, when given the opportunity, Dante is prone to let loose and flex his inexhaustible strength? I certainly think not. Anyway, it fits with many of his antics in the games. DMC3 opens to Dante tearing his own office apart fighting demons. If his property is fair game, why wouldn't Public Works be on the menu? That said, not every decision of his is negative. Episode 3. Dante is hired to kill a man dating the mayor's daughter, Angelina. Oh my. How romantical.
Turn it into a soap opera and Patty would love it.
Of course, the man in question, Brad here, is a low-level demon sent to aid his master's crossing into the human realm. And while Dante does confront Brad, he winds up letting him live, recognizing that he genuinely doesn't want to hurt anybody and harbors true feelings for Angelina. Dante is quick to accept him and help stop his master's plan. After saving his life, the mayor comes to tolerate their relationship. It's a happy ending for everyone involved, except the butler. He got what he deserved. Key point though, Dante rejects the payment when offered, despite his financial situation. Episode 7 would also see Dante give up his payment due to circumstance, namely, being hired by a lingering spirit eager to save her brother from wrongful imprisonment. That one was a bizarre but heartwarming twist. Even Dante couldn't resist cracking a smile. Though there are some lore implications here I would have loved to have gotten details on, and it's never brought up again. Le shit. Now, if these clips haven't made it obvious, Dante in the anime isn't quite the man we know from the games. He's grumpier for one. He's snide, unsocial. We often catch him sitting back and napping, or lounging about the office. The only exception, of course, is when he's hunting demons. Briefly, we see the man come to life and start thriving, but soon as the work is done, he returns to his perch, waiting for the next gig to come his way. Dante here feels like a blend between his more rambunctious iterations and his quieter, more sullen appearance in DMC2, the black sheep of the family. But I think this works for the character. Dante's not so boring as to be deprived of his appeal, but it doesn't shy away from how he is when there's nothing to do. Madhouse explores a regular day at the Devil May Cry office, and I think it's a great character study. At this point in his life, Dante has seen too much. Too much has happened. He's lost friends and comrades, multiple motherly figures. Virgil is presumed dead. Mundus has been defeated, avenging all of them. The tragedy that put Dante on this path of violence has come full circle. In his mind, there's nothing left but the job, the next hunt, the next fight to keep him motivated. Is it any wonder he's in such a foul mood during his downtime? This is where the character starts to diverge a bit. See, I already understood that Dante had a more somber side to him, but it was always a momentary revelation before we'd return to the status quo, with Dante mouthing off and mowing down every enemy in his path. Madhouse pulls the emotional rug out from under us. Watch the end credits of every episode. What do we see? Dante, sitting alone in the office as the day drags into evening, having a stiff drink. Meanwhile, the images of everyone he's closest to clings like silhouettes, then fades away before he follows suit. After the more vibrant opening and a reasonably action-packed episode 1, this was the last thing I would have expected, accompanied by the song, I'll Be Your Home. It leaves you feeling almost empty, as if nothing that happens in the show matters. Dante is stuck in the same position regardless. It doesn't matter if the mission was successful. Dante can save everyone, get paid, and earn a standing ovation to boot, as if he ever gets the recognition he deserves. Every episode, save for the final 2, end the same way. Him all alone, drinking and waiting for the day to end. I didn't understand the ending credits when I first watched the show. I could see what they were trying to say, but not quite why. There were depressing storylines too, sure enough, like episode 8, where Dante encounters the ghosts of his past, visiting a seaside village that was nearly wiped out by demons 20 years before. Though he denies any knowledge, it's heavily pushed that he used to live here before the disaster. On towards the conclusion, we learn the devil that leveled the town was searching for him. Dante's lineage had once again ruined the lives of innocents. There's no crying about it. He doesn't apologize or verbally lament his state in life. Dante simply does what he always does. He returns home, though with another old wound reopened. He's blamed and chastised, which is bullshit because it was this idiot who released the demon to begin with.
Bitch.
Then, in episode 10, Dante meets 2 devils who once apprenticed under Sparta himself. Brothers, in fact, Ball and Modius, whose relationship is rather reminiscent of Dante and Virgil, who wasn't mentioned anywhere in this show.
What a ringing endorsement. I am filled with confidence.
I have to knock off a few points for that. What's sad is Dante almost had a connection with Modius. He's far kinder than his brother Ball. He's outwardly friendly and shows zero animosity towards humans or Dante. He even shares in his joy for strawberry sundaes. I bet this man would go nuts for a Chicago deep dish. Sadly, conflict was inevitable, as Ball was determined to test his strength. And with Sparta no longer around, his son would have to suffice.
Looks like my father's sword work isn't that great.
And then, with his death, Modius was left to seek revenge. You can already assume how their story ended. There was a real chance for something to be different here. Modius could have become an ally, a longtime friend like Trish or Lady. Instead, it ended in tragedy. The Madhouse anime was hardly above ripping out one's heart on occasion, though you wouldn't think it enough for such a solemn ending every episode. I eventually realized that this was never about the episode's events, or the larger plot brewing in the background. This was about Dante, his past ever present, everything he had lost, every mistake he ever made. He fights not just to satisfy his battle lust, but to make a difference, make people safer. The fact he often gives up payment, and as we learned in other materials, he often gives away chunks of cash to help other victims of demon attacks. Everything Dante does is meant to help others. The lyrics to I'll Be Your Home fit in with this idea. We see it with his interactions with Patty Lowell, which we'll delve into shortly. But no matter what he does or who he helps, at the end of the day, Dante is still alone, too afraid to form connections, knowing how that ends. The images of his friends surround him, but they too disappear eventually. His family is lost, a father he barely got to know, a mother who was slain right in front of him, a brother lost to evil and corrupted beyond reason. It really doesn't matter what Dante does, who he saves. There are some things that can never truly be fixed. This is my interpretation of the end credits, of course. I'm sure there's other ways of looking at it, other details I haven't thought of, but it's really quite telling. I've spoken before about how Dante's tragic life is a more filtered detail of his character, something omnipresent but rarely addressed directly, save for a few select moments in the games. It was always there, I just never paid much attention to it. Not until the Madhouse anime came along. Then so much about the character started to click. This anime may not have gotten the best reception. It's not the best quality. It was only 12 episodes from 20 years ago. An entire generation was born and raised to adulthood in that time frame. And yet, so much of how I understand Dante stems from this show. It's the narrative glue, so to speak, that ties much of his personality together. For me, at least. Other materials, like the graphic novels, have been a huge part of that growth as well. All of it helped push Dante from my favorite action hero to my favorite character in all of fiction, bar none.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty great.
Now it's time to discuss the newest addition to the cast, Patty Lowell. Initially, she was just an escort gig Dante had pushed onto him. Afterwards, and for the rest of the season, Patty becomes a regular at the office, decorating the place in a vain attempt to make it look more appealing. And failing. A lot. Also taking on maid duties. Because this guy sure as hell ain't gonna do it. Or just lounging around making herself at home. And interestingly, Dante never pushes her away or demands she leave him alone. If anything, he's mighty accommodating, all things considered. These two develop a sibling dynamic, not unlike what he has with Trish. Dante, the grumpy older brother, constantly pestered by the energetic younger sister. Unlike other, more retarded shows that tend to push kids into dangerous situations for no reason, the Madhouse anime was wise enough not to do this. Patty doesn't get mixed in with Dante's work, though she's a small role in the plot of episode 9. A demon called King is killing people they drag into a poker game. Dante receives an offer to join and is given a pocket watch as part of his entry. Patty decides to try it on and falls under its spell, which nearly ends in disaster.
A game, Dante. Let's play a game. Are you going to die, or am I?
Patty!
Stop!
It was only by sheer coincidence and bad luck, rather than negligence on the adult's part, that this even happened. Though it did give them an edge in drawing out the devil at the episode's climax. A nice bit of detective work, coupled with Lady shooting Dante, as she so often does.
This place is filled with maid ladies!
But Dante does assume a protective role for Patty, keeping her out of trouble and passing on a few life lessons along the way. Imagine if Virgil could see this. He'd probably never let his brother hear the end of it. Not that he's room to talk.
You've been served.
What the fuck?
child support payments.
Dante and Patty's backstories also share many parallels, and you folks know how I love some good parallelism. Orphaned at a young age, parents lost while they themselves become targeted by devils, displaced with nowhere left to go. The difference is Patty has the chance to lead a different life, with Dante giving her a place to feel welcomed. Morrison and Lady help keep her company too. Patty has herself a stable environment where she can still act like a kid. Think of the times when Dante intervenes, keeping her from the worst aspects of his work. He and Lady both make sure she's never really in harm's way, preserving her innocence, something they both lost a long time ago. But through Patty, there's a chance to reclaim some of that. As the climax nears, Dante is approached by a mysterious woman. She asks him to protect an old family heirloom, this seemingly normal pendant. It takes about 5 nanoseconds to realize that was bullshit, when Dante is jumped by a devil, who was certainly surprised to see him. Imagine thinking you're facing a mere human woman, then you run into Doomslayer instead. It's like playing Call of Duty against Navy SEALs. That ain't remotely fair. All the same, we learn this woman is none other than Patty's mother. Now, way back in episode 1, it was implied that her mom had left her at an orphanage because she was on the run from demons. And now it's confirmed. To make matters even more complicated, this heirloom the devils are after is the main key to undoing Abigail's seal. Patty is quick to recognize her mother and races to meet up with her, just in time for everybody's favorite sniveling asshole to intervene. Sid had been keeping close tabs on the family, all the while collecting the other artifacts needed to revive Abigail. I haven't really said much about Sid, besides calling him a prick, which he is, and mentioning how weak he is, even by demon standards. Most of the season, he's lurking around, manipulating events from behind the scenes, so it's difficult to get much of his personality. But some choice actions of his paint a picture for us. Of course, his craving power is natural, it's what all devils want. Might makes right in demon society. To be fair, human society isn't really that different. We only judge based on social media likes instead. I think I prefer the demon's way of doing things.
How you say? Womp womp.
And I think Sid might feel a bit of the same. Multiple times, we get the impression he's a severe chip on his shoulder over his lack of power. Sid was involved in episode 8, pushing Ernest here to summon the demon in the first place. And then he sits beside Dante in the aftermath, mocking the humans for their flaws. It's as though he's rubbing it in Dante's face, really wanting to make him feel it. Sid resents his weakness, and how it pushes him into the lowest tier of demonkind. It's why he uses cheap tactics against the likes of Dante and others. So when he obtains Abigail's power, he's quick to flex his newfound strength, leveling parts of the city just because he can. But we all know how that turns out for him.
You bastard! And jackpot.
Even in defeat, Sid lamented the state of the world, that no matter what he did, there were others stronger than him. In the end, he didn't seem different from other demons. Power and domination were all that Sid understood. The man was just craftier in how he went about it. Fortunately, both Patty and her mother make it out alive. And Dante tells her that, with the threat over, the two of them can be a real family at last.
You're gonna be staying with your mother from here on out. I want you to have a happy life, you got it?
There are things you don't notice the first time you see them. All of this? Dante keeping an eye on Patty, making sure she's alright, showing content at her being reunited with her mother. On my first viewing, I thought this was just Dante relieved to see another job done. But is that all? Think about it. Dante always shows the most satisfaction, not with the jobs that pay well, and not the jobs that give him a good fight. It's the ones where people's lives are better off. Episode 3, when the lovebirds get the okay on their relationship. Dante received no payment, but looks happy for them regardless. Episode 7. He relinquishes his payment to let the guy know his sister was looking out for him, even beyond the grave. Dante's in quite a good mood, despite everything. And the season finale with Patty. Dante's usual scowl is nowhere to be seen, making other people's lives better, seeing to it they don't have to lose everything the way he did as a child. That is what Patty embodies for him, I think. A second chance. Perhaps every job boils down to that simple, redeeming hope. These are the moments that keep him going more than anything else. There's no huge emphasis put on any of it. The character doesn't sit down and give lengthy exposition over his feelings. It's the simple things you pay attention to that yield the greatest satisfaction. That said, I will mention how much I wanted to see more from Patty in DMC5. We get that phone call when Dante takes the Urizen job. But how hilarious it would have been if in some secret ending Patty shows up at the office, demanding to know why the hell Dante missed out on her birthday. She's not the type to let him off the hook so easily. Like the others, Patty is someone important to Dante. It's even mentioned he intended to drop by for her birthday once the job was done. It would have been nice to have her cameo be more than a lighthearted gag, that's all I'm saying. The Madhouse anime has its flaws, but what it did right was build upon the existing characters in the series, letting us see a part of them we rarely get the chance to in the games. It explores the protagonist's melancholia, but also his virtues. The willingness to keep on moving when quitting would be so much easier, albeit at a greater cost in the long run. That is an ongoing theme in the Devil May Cry universe. Perseverance. Our heroes aren't flawless. Some of them are borderline mental, but when it's time to get serious, to save the day, it's a guarantee they're going to be there, even if no one bothers to thank them. That's what the pizza is for. It's a fair trade, I think. So if you're like me and cannot stand what a derivative landfill Netflix has turned its DMC show into, consider giving the Madhouse anime a try. It's not perfect, but it has something the Netflix version hasn't even a chance at. A soul. That's awfully rare these days. This is it for our Devil May Cry content. Right now, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth hasn't been grilled nearly enough for my liking. We'll be getting back to that. Like, comment, and subscribe. When the time is right, we'll be back to rip on the Netflix show some more. Hope to see you guys there. Till then,